We are the board. Prepare to be... Wait, you're watching your father's sci-fi show? Never mind. Keep doing what you're doing.
Let's have some fun, because fun is fun to have. It's your father's sci-fi show,
the longest 15 minutes on the internet.
And it's because of you, Scott. It's the longest 15 minutes on the internet. And you too, Frank.
I blame the editors.
I don't say shit.
I blame the editors.
What? All right.
I believe Paul believes we're verbose. I think
you are very verbose. So we're gonna do a little bit of a change up, make it a little bit more interesting than well, I won't say exciting, because every time I say an exciting show, it's boring as hell when I'm listening to it and editing it. So we are going to do one thing and one thing only you would change about a franchise. Now I'm going to select, will be 2 rounds, well 3 rounds in total. 2 rounds, I will select the franchise for each of you guys. I'll try to do something hard and then something easy, and then you get to do your own franchise. And since I know which you guys like the most,
those will not be the ones you ask.
Those will not be the ones I will pick for you.
Of course.
One thing you would change about a franchise. Just one. We shall not proceed on to number 2, and thou shall never go on to number 3. Just one thing you would change about a franchise, and we'll start with Scott.
Okay.
One thing you would change about Babylon 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's a tricky one, because I didn't really watch Babylon 5. Matter of fact, the only time I recall watching Babylon 5, they were marketing Babylon 5, and I guess the little figures that they made were like gender neutral, and one of the characters was upset because people thought that was an actual representation. So wow, Rob might have been a better one to ask that question to, because
he's
I guess
always a no-show, Rob.
Yeah. See, he gets naps. I don't. That's why he missed the last show. Literally, the reason he missed the last show because he was sleeping. One thing about Babylon 5 to change the franchise.
Make it more interesting, I guess.
Well, I probably the name was probably too close to Deep Space Nine for me. I think and that's a stupid thing to say. The name.
Right. Well, that's what you got to go with. That's what you got to go with.
Yeah.
You heard it here, folks. You heard it here.
Congratulations, first. Paul. You have silenced Scott with a single question.
First time in history. All right.
I know, right?
Are you ready, Frank?
Of course.
Name one thing you would change about Aliens.
As in the Ridley Scott?
Yes, the Aliens franchise. Yes. One. These are pretty good stumpers.
Congratulations, Paul. You've stumped the
man.
man.
I suppose the thing I would say is the franchise should have ended with the second movie in 1986, because they have not been able to make a movie superior to that one.
Right.
So that would be my answer.
That's pretty good. Yeah. I don't think 3 is that bad.
You didn't like that they cloned her? You didn't like that?
No, nobody likes that. 3 was okay, but yeah.
It was okay, but it wasn't better than the first one.
No, yeah.
So
they killed some favorite.
it.
They killed some favorite characters, and that pissed off everybody.
Yep. So.
Well, but Michael Biehn dies in everything.
Yeah. Just like Sean Bean, I guess, right?
I don't. Matter of fact, I don't think I've ever seen a movie where he doesn't die.
We're back to you, Scott. Name one thing you would change about Battlestar Galactica: The Reboot.
Oh, wow. Battlestar Galactica: The Reboot. What would I change about it? It would still be on the air. Literally, because it was. I mean, they did do an extremely good job of rebooting it, and according to what I've read on it, it was closer to what
Glenn Larson,
the creator, wanted, but he couldn't do back in the 70s. But man, I'm telling you, it was, shoot. I'm hard pressed to come up with something that would have made that series better.
Right.
I hated that. I hated that Adama's wife killed herself. I mean, that kind of sucks, but it sort of, but gosh, I think it's I don't know, because I can probably come up with a list of 3 things, but you only want one, and that's the hard part, because it would either. Can I give you a choice between 2? I'll say 2, and you can pick whichever one makes you happy. I didn't like the final 5 because they kind of changed it. It sort of, to me, was like they just threw darts at a board and said, "Okay, these are the final 5."
Yeah, but, that's.
But I think as far as the series goes, man, I couldn't put my finger on one thing to go, yeah, this would have this change would have made it better. Yeah. This would be the shortest one we've ever done of these shows, because neither one of us have anything to say. Wow.
All right. Yeah. All right. All right, Frank. One thing you would change about Farscape.
The cancellation and cliffhanger at the end of 4th season. It needed a full-blown 5th season to complete, and that's it.
That's interesting. Both of you guys wanted them to continue on.
Yes.
The show will still be on the air.
Yeah. All right.
The idiot who canceled the show was an idiot, and then they had to make the Peacekeeper Wars to kind of wrap things up, because they ended 4th season on a cliffhanger, and they canceled the show. So yeah, I would have wanted a 5th season.
All right,
so that's
Scott. All right, Scott. What's your franchise? What would you change about it?
What's my franchise?
Right, you get to pick one. You get to choose a franchise.
I get to pick a franchise.
You get to pick a franchise, and one thing that you would change about it.
Wow.
And
Enterprise.
Enterprise
would still be on the air, because they were really getting into some good stories, and they were really getting into some good stuff, and then all of that changed, and they had to
So you mean for the Star Trek franchise, Enterprise would have got a 5th season? Is that what you're saying?
Enterprise would have got it at 7th season, as far as I'm concerned. But I think, to be fair, I think the wrap up on it was a lot better than the wrap up on Caprica. I really would have loved to see Caprica go, 3-4 seasons.
Yeah, they chopped it short, and it just didn't make any sense.
Well, about the time he got his feet under it,
pressed it, so it was like
Yeah, you had like 4 seasons, 5 seasons of writing in like one episode.
Right.
You know.
Yes.
So. Wow. Damn, Paul. We're gonna stop letting you pick the questions. Okay, next week I get to do the same thing.
All right. Or all right. Or you guys can ask me the same.
Well, what about you? Okay, what about you?
Well, we got to go with Frank. Frank is next. Frank gets to choose his franchise.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Well, let me subvert your expectations, and I'll switch gears to Doctor Who. And I think
it's fine.
Jodie Whittaker was a mistake because everything that she's done has led to a dumpster fire of continuity problems and revisionism that has really done irreparable damage to the franchise.
Yeah.
So, okay, over to you guys.
That's interesting, Frank. I see what you're trying to do there, but I think
subvert your expectations.
See, I didn't come out and go, yeah, I completely disagree with you. See what I did there? I learned. I grew as a person. I think the number one problem that Jodie Whittaker is facing in the Doctor Who episode is not her. It's not her acting. It is the writers that decided to screw the whole thing up.
Yes.
And
yeah.
Call it what you want to, call it what you will, but I think The Timeless Child is nothing but an enormous freaking lie that the Master
It's a giant
told.
middle finger to all the old fans.
No. I think it's a lie. The absolute whole thing is a lie. And it does create a paradox because you have the I don't know what they call her, the heavyset black woman that introduced herself as the Doctor, and she's supposed to be the Doctor before the first Doctor, and it's like, no, sorry, the TARDIS wasn't broken until the first time he used it. There's no way she could have it and have him found it in the original condition. So that's why I think Timeless Child is entirely a lie that the Master was telling.
Yeah, she was good in Broadchurch.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not even.
Yeah, like I said, I think the writing is the biggest disservice to her as the Doctor. I really do.
Starting with, they should have written her as another Time Lord. There are women Time Lords in the 50, 60 years of the show. If they really wanted to step sideways and do something different, use another Time Lord. I mean, they did a spin-off with Torchwood. They could have done a spin-off with a girl Time Lord. I don't see the problem.
When they were getting ready to end Tom Baker's reign as Doctor Who, he made the statement that he wishes luck to whoever he or she may be that's replacing him, his replacement. So the concept is there, and on one hand. Now, my own personal feelings aside, I would think that regardless of what modern whatever, your biological male, you're going to regenerate into a male. But I wasn't as offended by Capaldi regenerating into Whittaker as I was with the writing that accompanied that change.
Yes. Well, it was agenda driven. I mean, the whole concept of omnisexuality began with Torchwood. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's kind of where it really started. But anyway, that was my one thing. So
yeah, that's cool.
Okay, go ahead, Scott. Throw something at Paul, and then I'll throw something at Paul.
I never saw Doctor Who, so I have no opinion on it. But I saw the old Doctor Who, but none of the new Doctor Who's.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that in the writing of Doctor Who, there's a whole lot of stuff that was really, really done well, and at the various times, I mean, each version of the Doctor had some really awesome stories to it. And some of them were like, okay, well, kind of a miss, but you have that. Let's see, how can I throw Paul a curveball?
Curveball. I don't watch a lot of science fiction, so. One thing I would change.
I'd ask him what changed for Grand Theft Auto, but that's not really sci-fi, and he'd say make the chicks naked, and that's just that's way too short of an answer.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that science fiction.
Let's see. I don't know. Maybe I'll defer to Frank for right now. I got to think because I've got to.
You got to think about all the science fiction that's out there.
I've got to think of all the science fiction out there to see.
All right. What could have been changed in Dark Matter?
Whew, Dark Matter. I got to remember what happened in Dark Matter. I don't know.
That would be what he changed.
I'm not going to say it should have had another season.
No.
Dark Matter. They had lost their memory, and they were on a ship, and then they rediscovered who they were. I'm trying to remember. They had some kind of booth they could get into and travel to other places, but it was just their minds, wasn't it?
Right.
Okay, that was a thing. That was pretty cool. Did not be made in Canada? I don't know. I don't know. I liked it.
That wasn't a problem I had.
I can't remember. Problems. Damn, this is tough.
Right. Exactly. Thanks a lot. See, you did this though. No complaints.
And the funny part is I do have a crisp, clear answer, but I'm just curious if you'll see it.
Was it feminism? I don't know. What I would change about Dark Matter would be... Damn.
This entire show will be about 20 minutes long.
It's the ruminating show.
Let's see. I can't remember anything Yeah, you liked it, but I can't remember very many of the episodes.
Maybe we should pick something and just comment on it or something. Maybe
Well,
I should comment.
I have thought of something for Paul.
I would.
And I may have it, or I may get a really good answer. I don't know. With Paul, it's hard to tell.
Oh, wait a minute.
He's got something.
Yeah, they should just left Will Wheaton out of it.
All right, I'll give you that.
He played a good villain, but I was like, it's Will Wheaton. Okay.
You can never take him seriously. I know.
Right.
Even with the beard. Does the beard make it more comical?
The beard definitely helps, but you can't take him seriously. Okay. So anyway,
I don't know.
That'd be the big thing.
He's always the annoying kid that gets him in and out of trouble.
Replace the actor.
But
go ahead, Scott. Let him have it.
Paul.
What
one singular thing would you change about The Expanse?
Ooh.
I get him. I told you I get him.
Well, there's probably quite a few things I would change with The Expanse, to be honest. But
only one, Paul.
Only one thing. Ooh.
I know what he's going to say.
All the war stuff just wasn't interesting to me. They could have done a little bit less of that. The stuff with the proto molecule, that was the interesting part of the show, and then when that sort of tapered off and disappeared, season 4 is when it really fell flat for me. I got bored with season 4, and season 5 and season 6 were just they were okay, but all the war stuff is just
filler.
It's just filler. It's boring to me because you know who's going to win the war or not, or I didn't care for the war part. That could have been a better solution, or the aliens could have been the thing that united them together.
Wouldn't that have been a trope, though?
It would have been a trope.
Might have been. Actually, we should do an episode on that. But anyway,
I only read else. The first 3 novels and didn't read any other novels that the last seasons were based on. So I don't know where they were going with it.
Gotcha.
Maybe they could have made season 6 longer because it felt like it was condensed.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going.
Here's a question. I have another question. It's for the two of you. It's just a question that I have. Highlander, is that considered science fiction?
Yes, unfortunately, because of the Zeist. The second one established it. The second movie establishes it as science fiction.
Okay.
Unless you see some weird edit that cuts the Zeist out.
See, I don't know. See, in the second movie, I think they kind of screwed with something that didn't need screwing with.
Yeah, well,
because it's more acceptable, it's more reasonable, it's more understandable to go. For some reason, every so often somebody's born and they're immortal. I buy that much more than, we're gonna send criminals to the past.
The first movie was a complete story and it didn't need a sequel. But anyway,
but everybody loved it though.
I wish that Chris Gore would show up and opine. But anyway,
well, maybe that's another show that we could do at some time. Franchises that were ruined by sequels or prequels, Frank.
Yeah.
Well,
I disagree with you that that story didn't need to be told. The prequels did need to be told. They just told the wrong story. That's the core problem.
Oh, I thought you were still talking about Highlander. I was like, what are you prequels?
No,
there are no Highlander prequels. There are sequels, unfortunately.
There could be though.
See, I had actually thought one time but some of the
prequels was in the first movie.
I think one of the things I was thinking of one time, and it was one of those, hey, wouldn't it be cool if type things that like fans sit back at 3:00 in the morning, they're trying to, not hack their lungs up, from drinking all night, was that what if clearly the immortals had to be born. Clearly, I mean, because they're like, well, he brought you to me as a baby and blah 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 blah. What if they all had the same mom?
That evokes thoughts of the Umbrella Academy, even though they were all different mothers. But
yeah,
there was another.
The comic or the show?
I watched the first episode of Umbrella Academy, and I turned it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or is it a graphic novel? I don't know. How
it's a comic. It's a comic, but they published them. They publish them in rather thick comics. There's 3 at present.
Yeah.
Allegedly, there were supposed to be 12, but they're coming a little slower than.
Right.
I have the 3rd one.
It's expensive.
But anyway, so let's see. What else can we throw at Paul? Or maybe Paul will throw one at us. I don't know.
I thought I was gonna pick I don't have to pick one for myself.
Okay.
It would be fair to pick one for yourself.
It would be, wouldn't it? I don't know. I'd have to pick a real hard one though. And
I spend a whole week ruminating on all the science fiction franchises and the one switch that I would flip. I did my homework.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. I didn't. I just went, okay, I think the show's going to be about this. I guess I'll find out when we get on. And
that's how it's fun. Or unexpected.
Yeah, well, you got us. I mean, you know, the whole A franchise, one thing to change. Wow.
One thing's tough to choose. Yeah. Let's see. What's my favorite franchise?
It's probably not on television, but.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's going on?
Okay, another question.
The one thing I would change about Blade Runner, the name.
Yeah, that doesn't kind of.
It was a carryover from from what I've read on the internet, if the internet can be relied upon. It was said Ridley Scott may have been working on an idea of another dystopian future that took place with delivering medical supplies. So Blade Runner would make more sense than that because of scalpels and things of that nature. And then that fell through, but he took up Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep and kept the name Blade Runner.
And that name doesn't roll off the tongue.
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
I did find an interesting thing that from Blade Runner 2049 that referenced something in the original Blade Runner, and then I happened to catch the original Blade Runner and went, "Ha! You got it wrong." They did the replicant for Deckard of Rachel. Is that her? Rachel?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he immediately pulls a gun out and shoots her. And it's like, Rachel had blue eyes. No, she didn't. No, she didn't.
Right. Well, he was lying to him.
Because they went back. Who was lying to him? He was lying to him.
Deckard was lying to that weirdo guy. Because he didn't want her. That wasn't the Rachel he knew. It was some knockoff.
Yeah. He could have just told them that. He didn't have to kill her, did he? And then lie about it. Wrong color eyes. Yeah, we'll work on that, Chief.
I mean, they had our records. I guess. I don't know.
If they could make replicants and give them memories, then at some point,
I would.
The longer lives, and there was no known way when she was going to die, and apparently she lived quite a long time.
No, I think I would take out the unicorn scene that he added into it.
Depends on which version you see of that.
Right.
Because I think my understanding is the unicorn theme in it actually was a running theme in it, like when Edward James Olmos does a little unicorn.
Yeah, but he only did it like the one time.
Yeah. But then
he said, let's see if we can.
Then Deckard dreamt of unicorns. What is that supposed to mean? I don't know.
Right. He dreamed of it. Well, when they put the thing back in there, he dreamed of it first.
Mm-hmm.
Because they wanted you to think maybe he was a replicant. But I think his emotional response to Rachel in the apartment would have been sort of a clue that maybe he was a replicant. Because he didn't have the emotional maturity to handle how he felt about her, I would suppose.
Well, I did hear that there was supposed to be a thing where there was a chance that he actually was a replicant.
Right. They wanted to leave it ambiguous, and he kept it ambiguous in 2000 in the 2049 version.
Well, 2049 they left it ambiguous, but the Blade Runner that they sent after everybody was actually a replicant. So it's like, so we got that, but it wasn't Deckard. So, I mean, it's great ideas for movies that wound up being in the sequel.
He's a replicant, or he's an autistic virgin. Who knows?
The Imperial Detention Center looked a lot like Cloud City in A New Hope, but they didn't go with that. They basically took the detention scene and integrated it with the Death Star. And then they took the detention center and turned it into Cloud City in Empire Strikes Back. So, yeah. It's a thing. Sometimes a piece of the puzzle doesn't fit here, but it fits further down. So, anyway.
Piece of the puzzle fits, but it's not. But it still doesn't belong there.
Have you ever seen the TV series Quark with Richard Benjamin as a garbage man, a space garbage man? No. So I'm not going to ask you that.
No, I have no idea what that is.
Oh my God, it's unwatchable. I actually watched an episode recently, and they basically it was garbage. Anyway, they were just trying to surf on the Star Wars tide and failed miserably. It's just another Star Wars ripoff that is on the bottom of the bucket. So we won't talk about that series.
Okay, well, here's a question. then, and I'm in thinking about this offbeat way that we're doing this show. What science fiction book that has not been made into a movie or science fiction story? I won't limit it to a book. But what science fiction story would you like to, that has not been made into a movie yet, but you would like to see it made into a movie?
I've actually already said it on this show.
Yeah,
and that would be Gibson and Sterling's Difference Engine, which was published in '91, which deals with Babbage getting funded, an alternate universe where Babbage gets money and builds and starts the computer age in the 1800s. But that's my choice.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Instead of Ada Lovelace, we have Ada Byron, the first programmer, and Jacquard and his printer and his card reader. And so I think if that actually happened, Adolf Hitler would have made his first speech on the internet. Yep. And we would have had earlier, the first Olympics probably would have been broadcast on television had that come to pass. But anyway, we can theorize alternate realities, but that would be my choice. What do you got, Paul?
Who do I have? I don't know.
somewhere in the background you can hear the theme from Jeopardy.
You sure can. I don't think I didn't think about dropping that in here before you even started doing this show.
Probably get a copyright strike. It's not worth it.
A book or a story I'd like to see televised. That's a hard one too, because there's stuff you read and you go, wow, this might make a good story, but I don't think they could pull it off because the graphics or isn't there yet. Visuals aren't there, but they are getting there yet. I mean, there's some. Let's see. I don't know. I don't want to choose any of the Alistair Reynolds things.
I don't think the world is ready for that level of science fiction. I don't think audiences could. His concepts, he's got a lot of good ideas, but I don't think the average moviegoer, you'd completely lose them. It's too cerebral. Star Trek wasn't.
Yeah, that's true. It is too cerebral. I don't know. I have to think about the books I have. I was like, wow, this would be great.
I think even Hyperion would be a little too much for the average.
Right, and I kind of read half of the third story and kind of quit because it just seemed like, are we getting to the point? When are we gonna get to the point and wrap this up? I don't know. It was just started to drag. Because usually,
I have another one.
Usually, I'll see something on TV and then go, "Oh, this is based on a book." Now go back and start reading the books. We'll see. No, we'll have to circle back, I guess.
Okay. You can dye your hair red while we're waiting.
Well, now for
Guillermo
me,
del Toro was toying around with an adaptation of Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness, and that fell through. But I think that is a story that could work because it needs a spectacle. When you reach the plateau of Leng and you see this ancient city laying in repose, you need CGI to make that work. And after seeing Dune 2021, I think we're ready to adapt. It is a weird story. It is a very strange story, but and Del Toro seems to like it. I think he should direct it, and that would make a great adaptation. So what do you got, Scott? You got one on the burner?
Well, I think I actually have two or three.
Well, go for
one, I think more than the other. I've always been a big fan of the book, The Dueling Machine. And it was back before there were computers, let alone, like what we're doing here. but yeah, I think that would always have made a really good movie. And I think that without trying to ride on the coattails of the unnecessarily long Lord of the Rings movies, that Thomas Covenant, Stephen Donaldson's Thomas Covenant series would be a good movie. It would probably be one of those. Definitely would have to be. I mean, it's 3 books. Yeah, 3 books. So I definitely think it'd have to be broken up into a couple different movies, because there's no way you'd crash all that stuff into one. But
Well, it's nice that they are starting to realize that some novels need to be split into 2, and it started with Harry Potter. Although personally, I think J.K. Rowling should have written an 8th book, but that's another story. Well, that's not science fiction.
I found it interesting that in that story that even when it was all over and it was done and they all had grown up, that even though they were mortal enemies during high school, they were friendly toward each other in public. I mean, it's just kind of one of the weird things that I look at and I see in that one. But I don't know.
It happens in real life. That's a real thing. So
yeah, well, I guess it is. Yeah, but yeah, that's, I think. I mean, if you've ever read Stephen Donaldson, but then there was another song I forget, and it may have been, and maybe somebody can help me, but there was a book that I read during the Gulf War, and I got a paperback, and it was like literally that thick, and I'm like, man, there's no way in the world I'm going to read this thing, and it literally took me like a day and a half to read it, and it was
point of no return.
Well, no, it was called Swan Song. And it's one of these not post-apocalyptic, but there's a nuclear war, and it's about a very small group of people trying to find civilization and the stuff they have to deal with and all of that. And it was very well done. But I think I want to say that I may have seen. I was looking through some movies to watch on streaming service, and I think I want to say that was there was something called Swan Song. So I'll have to go back and look and see, and then watch it. And if it is the same one, then I'll be like, oh, okay, cool. But that I know of, it has not. And maybe somebody will chime in the comments and say, oh, you're an idiot. It's there, blah, 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 whatever.
Nobody comments except for Frank.
I know, nobody ever does. I thought about commenting anonymously, but I can't. So
doesn't matter. I don't even check the statistics anyway. You know
what we didn't do in this? We didn't do the intro to the show, really, did we?
Yeah,
you did.
You can do the intro at the end.
I did.
And
I did.
Okay.
Kind of did it. We kind of put it in there.
You could have sounded a little bit more enthusiastic to it.
Welcome to your show. I mean, this has already been done. I mean, they did the Dark Tower movie. It kind of fell flat, because the Dark Tower is something that really needs to be serialized on a streaming service.
Yeah.
Because it's so in depth and it's pretty lengthy. But it's been done, so I want to say done right. As far as something that hasn't been done, it's just I haven't finished anything, so I can't say my style stuff. So. Writing's hard.
It is. And adaptation to film is hard.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be, but now with CGI, it's not so difficult to do.
Yes,
There's a lot of
there are
things.
certain things. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the difference. Say, Planet of the Apes, when they made that series of movies in the '60s, at the practical makeup that they did,
Right.
versus the Mark Wahlberg one, where it was all CGI.
Right.
You know, and that I mean, I don't know. I'm torn because I really like the originals because of the makeup, and the new ones are like, okay, but it's not really makeup. It's not really
right.
You know, you've put these actors in something that marks where their face is, and they do their thing, and then somebody at a computer console turns it into, you know, orangutans and gorillas and chimpanzees. Just, you know, but that's in the same breath, that CGI is a big reason why a lot of movies could be made now. Now, I think, as I've said often before, I'd rather see a good story, you know, regardless of the effects, as opposed to something that is, you know, a $7 billion, you know, budget, and it's all CGI, you know.
True. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, talking about Planet of the Apes, they wanted to do a more advanced culture to emulate the book, and because of budgetary limitations, they went with a more, I want to say, turn of the 20th century level of technology. But if you look at the Planet of the Apes cartoon that was on Saturday mornings,
that train wreck.
Try to take deep cleansing breaths. It's actually, I've been watching some of those. They're actually pretty good. The animation is horrible, but you've got jeeps and tanks, and they're, you know, they're more like
it's more like the original. Yeah, it's more like the original book.
Yes,
I mean, in the original book I read it. The fact they were French. It wasn't too bad. I mean, it was everything was exactly the same, except simians were, you know, the dominant species.
Right.
You know, they had cars, they had telephones, they had TVs, they had radios, they had all that. But I think sometimes, though, like especially in the original one, Planet of the Apes, I think it was really good that they didn't overdo it like that. Like, it really wasn't a truly modern thing. But they did touch back on that at the end of the Wahlberg one. You know, where they land and you know, he's back on what he thinks is Earth, and he realizes it's just not, you know.
And that's how the book ended, except it was in Paris. But
I mean, that's, you know. But
once again, that book was that. The other problem with adaptation is there are some stories that are horribly impossible to adapt. Sure. If you did Planet of the Apes as written, the entire human cast would be nude.
Yeah.
Good luck getting a PG-13 rating on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is something I remember from the book, because every time
except for the fat guys, we don't want to see the fat guys.
He'd apologize for being naked, and they thought that was cute. You know, it's like, all right, well, but yeah, I mean, there's, you know,
there are problems, and like Dune has the problem of adaptation with the internal dialogue. How do you still tell the story and change that around? Yeah. So
don't tell a show, you know.
Well, see, Philip K. Dick had a story, Ubik, which when I read thought would be pretty good as a movie, but I can't really remember much about it now. But it's because it seems to me like people will take a crappy Philip K. Dick story and make it a better movie. Except for Scanner Darkly, they kind of did that pretty much like the story is. I think they had one composite character, which made sense. But they pretty much followed the story.
They took The Running Man, that was a short story, and they turned it into an entire movie that was, from my understanding, nothing really like it. You know, very, very loosely based.
Right, because you'll see these movies that are based on his stories, then you try to read his stories and figure out which story goes with the thing, and you're like, I don't know, is this
What the hell did they do?
Logan's Run, the movie and the novel.
Right.
Major differences.
So,
and the movie, that's another example of where the movie was better than the novel. The novel,
right. And Blade Runner's kind of better than Durango's Dream of Electric Sheep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in that one, he had a wife named Iran. I did like the mood organs they had in there. Like if they had some kind of device that would set their mood. Like if you were feeling depressed, you could feel happy, or if you felt happy, you could be depressed. That was kind of strange. And in that book,
good drugs.
They take him to a police station, but it's not the police station he worked at. While they were pretending it was, it's like there was like the replicants had their own little section of society they had carved out for themselves, and they're replicating to the other society. And the geneticist in the Blade Runner movie was something else. He was, I don't know. I just know there was a big mountain of rubble, and it had all kind. Yeah, it's Philip K. Dick. It's weird. He was drug out, wasn't writing stuff, and I don't know.
Oh, okay, they did a comic adaptation, but Anne Rand's Anthem might make an interesting adaptation to film. I like to think of it as 1984 with a happy ending, but yeah. I have the comic, so it has already been adapted.
Frank uses the expression "happy ending," and that has different connotations for different people.
But I can't even remember the story Ubik now. But I know when I read it, it was like, wow, this would be a great movie. But I can't tell you what happened in it. I don't remember. That's weird.
But did you really read it, Paul, or did you just think that you read it?
I don't know.
It's like when the first Matrix movie came out, people would go, "Hey man, have you seen The Matrix?" "Yeah." "Are you sure?"
Well, I think so.
What?
All right, let's see. What else can we talk about? How about 60s Lost in Space? You know the one thing I'd change?
Franchises that went the wrong direction.
They did. Well, you know something? You're absolutely right, because if Jonathan Harris's performance was like the Dr. Smith in the reboot, that would have been interesting.
Well, I remember the first two episodes of Lost in Space, the original series, and he was an evil prick. I mean, seriously, this guy was like, holy crap! I mean, he killed a guy. You know, like it was like the very first episode, he killed a guy, and I'm like, all right, you know,
I know.
It's not like the old campy Batman series where they beat them up, they're unconscious, and nobody thinks to take their freaking mask off.
Well, speaking of old science fiction,
that wouldn't be proper form.
Well, I think the downside, but when you look at that era of television, a lot of decisions were made on shows that really don't make any sense now.
Right.
And you look at them then and you go, really? That was science fiction television shows were not common back then. Why they decided to take Lost in Space in the direction of a comedy, I don't know. Star Trek got Chekhov on it because their biggest competition apparently was, they needed a Davy Jones.
Yep,
because the monkeys were, and it's like, really? I mean, it's like, wow, man, it's bizarre, But even then, when you look at franchises and how they changed, or, there's, when they have to change an actor for whatever reason.
Right.
I mean, now it all happened off screen and you didn't really see it, but the guy that played Christopher Pike in The Cage was actually supposed to be the captain, and he wound up, and the studios didn't like that.
Right.
And his wife was like, he's not a TV star, he's a movie star. And so they went, okay. And from what I've read and what I've seen, William Shatner was actually the first choice that Roddenberry had. Ultimately, he got his first choice.
Right. Funny how things work that way.
Yeah, sometimes yes, sometimes no. But in that case, it's like, yeah, he got what he wanted. But I don't know, man. Thinking about it, there's probably a lot of franchises that you look at them and you go, why did they do that?
Yeah. Star Wars with Kurt Russell. Now that would be something.
I think it was called Soldier.
If you want to go down that rabbit hole, Harrison Ford just wanted some work, and then he got a big head and didn't want to do Star Wars anymore. I think Kurt Russell, although thinking about Stargate, maybe I'm going to put my foot in my mouth, but I think Kurt Russell would have stuck it out a little better than Harrison, and I think he would have been a decent Han Solo.
Han Solo, but as Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China.
Well, I think on the other side of that, though, the kind of just completely lost my train of thought there. Yeah. Crap, we were talking about it.
It's a boring,
yeah, Han Solo. Harrison
it's a boring
Ford,
conversation anyway.
Yeah, no, Harrison Ford actually was like from the first movie, from the first Star Wars movies. He's like, no, I think Han Solo should die.
Yeah,
that was his big thing. He really thinks he should have died, and
he needed to be redeemed. That was the theme. So he had to live. But yeah,
well, he had to live, and he was, and I think he was redeemed. He was a scoundrel, and he was a rogue, and he was a smuggler, and he was all these horrible things, and he abandoned these people in their biggest time of need. And right when everything looked darkest, here he comes swooping in and literally saves the day. So the redemption arc. I mean, we saw the same thing. We saw the same thing when Vader realized that the Emperor was trying to kill his kid, and it's like, wait a minute, hold on.
Oh, come on now. Chewie.
Redemption arc.
Chewie, they had a big argument, and Chewie said, we got to go back and help those guys.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
No, we got to pay off Jabba the Hutt. Don't guilt trip me.
I think you might find my one thing that I would change.
Get your hand off the steering wheel.
The one thing I would change about that franchise, I'm a Time Lord, and I can see where the chain of events destroyed everything. Marcia Griffin should have never married George Lucas. And I think the franchise would have done significantly better. That's my
there's a lot of people think, yeah, I mean, there's
Chewbacca should have wore coveralls.
Yeah. Would have saved on the budget. Would have made the holiday special look a little less weird.
And boots too. We got to walk around your bare feet all day.
Nobody else have anything better to do that day than watch that stupid show.
I want to see it.
The Star Wars holiday special.
Is there a shaved Wookiee?
If you knew how many times I've watched it,
oh yeah,
you'd explode laughing. But anyway,
probably not, because you probably sit back and you probably sit back and like.
Let me tell you this. Here we go. Star Wars holiday special. I'm going to say something good about it. I usually stop my audiences in their tracks. Princess Leia lost her world, her father, her culture, her people. Mm-hmm. Okay, she's like Job. She lost everything. She goes to Kashyyyk, stands before the Wushir tree, and preaches on freedom and love. And I'm like, she won the hearts of every Wookiee that day. That's a powerful moment, even though it looked like the Carol Burnett show. That was a very powerful moment. Yeah.
Well, but that's sort of as a joke. One of the things I find really funny because, Luke Skywalker meets this old guy, and like 24 hours later, the dude is dead, and he's all depressed and everything. And like Princess Leia sitting there going, "Yeah, everybody I freaking knew his dad got blown up. All right.
You don't see me crying.
Yeah, well.
It's like, you don't see me crying. It's like,
I'll cry later.
She cried in her prison cell. But anyway.
Plotting her revenge. She didn't seem out to her about it either. Are you a little short for a stormtrooper?
Well, she knew the price.
Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? Aren't you a little bitchy? I don't know.
No, not at all.
You want to get out of this?
But you gotta give her credit. If that's the lie she comes up with after being tortured, hey, it's like,
Yeah.
Like, okay, let me get this straight. She's in a soundproof room and you can hear the screams outside the door.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody comes in and the first thing she comes up with is, "Aren't you too short to be a stormtrooper?"
Huh?
Then suddenly he realizes he's wearing a uniform. Oh, the uniform.
No. I'm Luke Skywalker. That doesn't mean shit to me.
I'm here to rescue you.
I'm here with Ben Kenobi. And then the light bulb went on. All right, let's see. What other franchises can we have fun with? Paul, did you ever watch UFO?
Land of the Lost.
No, I watched it on Blue Book.
Okay, never mind. Space 1999?
Yeah, we watched that.
Okay.
I remember the three trees.
I like Space 1999. It was a little bit unrealistic.
I had a few issues with it, but it was what it was.
I didn't have any issues as a kid because I was a kid and didn't really know what the issues would have been.
Didn't know that the moon being yanked out of the Earth's orbit would kill every freaking person on the planet. But hey, it's like,
there goes the moon.
Well, that is a problem.
There goes the moon.
That occurs with every. I mean, it has
right.
Its biggest problem is the Gilligan's Islands problem. They spent every episode trying to find some habitable planet and to transfer everyone off of Moon Base Alpha and transfer them to the planet. Well, the moment they succeed in that task, the show's over. So it could never.
Right, never happened.
Well, I mean, but that's Battlestar Galactica. Their whole thing was getting to Earth. Well, they finally got to Earth. Boom, done. Show's over.
I just remember the three trees and they could talk telepathically.
I think Kevin J. Anderson got some influence there.
And there was
that's another discussion. We could do an episode
I like the
influence.
Eagles. I like the spaceships.
Yes, the spaceships
we built a lot of those models, kids. And I really wish Rob was here. Rob had some great ones that he came up with.
Well,
those were great. The toy was great of the Eagle. And you could take the booster module and the command module apart and make a smaller spacecraft. It was nice.
Which we did.
Yeah.
Which we did. We took that rail system out between it, put them together.
But Space 1999 suffers from the Gilligan's Island. Actually, to some degree, Lost in Space suffers from the Gilligan's Island problem because they're trying to get home.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's why the reboot was kind of nice because Earth was not their final destination. It was Alpha Centauri.
Alpha Centauri.
Yeah.
And that made more sense because they could make that meandering journey there, and that made a whole lot more sense than the Gilligan's Island scenario.
Yeah.
So,
and they're just a couple of miles away from the mainland.
Did you watch any Sid and Marty Krofft stuff, Paul?
I probably did.
Jimmy and his Magic Piccolo.
Magic
Flute.
Like the sea monster bullshit.
Sigmund and the Sea Monster. Oh,
that could be construed as science fiction, but they had Far Out Space Nuts, which coincidentally had Gilligan in it, John Denver, and they're in a space capsule hopping from planet to planet, trying to get back to Earth. And I'm like, they're never going to find it.
Yeah,
John Denver is a singer. Bob Denver is the actor.
I said John.
You said John.
Bob Denver.
Saturday mornings.
My bad.
Saturday mornings, I would sleep until 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, so I didn't get to see a lot of cartoons.
Oh my goodness! What am I gonna do with you? That means you also miss Josie.
Saturday mornings were an entirely different thing.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Saturday mornings were an entirely different thing around our house, man. You had to wake up real early on Saturday morning because Mom and Dad always ordered pizza after we went to bed. So there was like still pizza. So you get up and you get the pizza, you know, and you sit down and you watch cartoons, whatever's on. You watch it. You know, it's like.
Yeah, so I didn't really see a lot of cartoons.
Until
after school, 4 o'clock.
There was a lot of good science fiction.
Finish your Tom and
on
Jerry's
Saturday mornings.
Your Monsters and your.
Well, I tell you what's funny, if you're looking at really good science fiction and it's odd from the source, was the Star Trek animated series.
That was a very good series.
Believe it or not,
you had DC
believe it or not,
Fontana
it was
and Larry
the only
Niven.
one of the series that like won awards. It was like, and the animation company that did it was actually chosen because they weren't very expensive.
Yes, they're the same guys who made He-Man.
Yeah,
Filmation. But that was a very good show. Yeah. I enjoyed that, and you had good writers. Oh, imagine that. DC Fontana wrote a couple episodes. Larry Niven.
Walter Koenig, only appearance in that show was as a writer. He wrote one of the episodes. I mean, that's, you know, and that to me, I always hated it because I think I probably, even though I like Scotty because of the name, I think for the animated series, I was always let down because he wasn't, you know, there's no Chekhov. They had 100 different freaking alien characters.
Yes,
which was awesome.
Because they could draw.
Well, they could draw them,
yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yes, if we ever do an episode on cats in space, we're going to have to bring up Star Trek animated. Because the Kazinti from Larry Niven actually make an appearance in one episode, which I believe that's part of his Ringworld series. Oh goodness, I believe so. They're like they're cat creatures, and one of the
I wasn't too impressed with that.
Okay, there were cat.
It was early '70s. They were trying.
Yeah, one of the crew was a cat creature, and then there was this tripod alien.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah,
Walter Koenig wrote an episode of Land of the Lost, which introduces Enoch, which he changed it. It was Gene backwards, and he changed one of the letters because to honor Roddenberry.
I used to watch that. Land of the Lost.
You watched Land of the Lost?
Yeah.
Okay, what was the one change you would make in Land of the Lost?
Better special effects.
The daughter to be older?
I don't know. She was about the same age I was, I think.
At the time,
I had a total crush on Kathy Coleman.
I was a slee stack for
She was
Halloween
11,
once.
you know.
Yeah.
They only had 3 slee stack costumes, so you only saw 3 slee stacks at any given time.
I think we made I think my mom made ours or something like that. I don't know
That's cool.
I don't know how we did it. I just know I had a piece of, because it was the 70s. We had tacky curtains. And I wore something like a tacky curtain around my neck, like a thing. I don't know. I just remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know where the mask came from. I think there was a slee stack mask.
The problem with Halloween costumes in the early 70s
But you didn't have a full body
the mask was
costume.
accurate, and then the physical, the bodysuit was nothing but a commercial.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's not right. Oh goodness, I hated costumes in the 70s. They all sucked.
Yeah, I just had the mask and we made their own.
Two little bitty tiny holes to see out of.
That was the only time I've ever
cosplayed. To
cosplayed.
breathe out of.
Good for you.
It was the only time I cosplayed was when I was a child. So.
I don't have that problem. Anyway,
cosplayed in Air Force Sergeant for quite a while.
The only thing I would have changed with Land of the Lost was they needed to give Spencer Milligan a little more money for 3rd season so that he would stand around, because
another season.
The 3rd season he goes
dad.
away and the uncle comes.
Yes, through some strange, the same quirk that brought them there, like got rid of their dad and brought in somebody else that they knew.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Oh.
Because he was looking for them in the same river.
Right. But that show had tremendous potential. I mean, goodness, I could give you a whole list of things that needed to be changed. But the writing was good, that it actually transcended the bad special effects. And the horrible
but you have to understand, that was more like, it was like one of, if not the first movie that used green screen. Well, blue screen back then.
Yeah.
But I mean, they were one of the first ones. So, you know, there was that, and then there was there was a really cheesy, like Huckleberry Finn, Tom and Huck and Becky, I think was her name. And it was funny because all the villains in this, you know, it was them on green screen, and then all the villains were animated.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was.
That's weird. I don't know what that is.
I'd have to look that up again because I forget the name of it, but it was. I remember it had Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn, and some girl named Becky.
Okay.
All right.
And it was like.
I mean, this is on TV.
Maybe we should do that. Maybe we should research just the 70s. The television shows just the 70s and do an entire show dedicated to them. Going, here it is, for better or worse, here it is.
Dr. Shrinker. That's another Sid and Marty Krofft production. And the whole cast gets shrunk. It's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the series. They're trying to get back to the shrink ray to get back to normal size. Yeah. And it's like, you're never going to get to the shrink ray. Not until the season's done.
True. All right, we got an hour and 11 minutes.
All right.
You can edit it down. There's a lot of dead air, so
there's a lot of Paul staring off into space trying to come up with an answer. We can edit that right out of there. Well, that's the show. Thanks for coming by. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, give us a thumbs down. We have no egos. If you're really feeling frisky, go ahead and click the subscribe button, but make sure you tell us in the comments how drunk you were while you watched the show.
I wish I was drunk. We didn't even get to the part where we were going to look at the old sci-fi book covers with the sexy women on them.
Oh yeah. Well, we could, and you could edit it in or make another episode. You want to start another episode?
No, let's see the screen share. I thought we would look, Scott's like, I got to go to bed now.
I'm not have to go to bed, but I do have a wife sitting out in the other room, wondering where the hell I'm at. we were actually talking, but actually, you see, it's a down thing because we have a front moving through, so we had like tornado watches earlier today, and this evening it's like it's clear, but it's like going to be down to 24 degrees tonight.
Yeah, we can do this little shit later.
So it's like, I because we were going to go watch a band. Imagine that. I go watch bands. Go
what?
Go figure. Yeah, it's like whatever.
I can't believe you have a life, Scott.
I know. It's amazing I have a life considering I have a job. But my job affords me to do things like eat regularly and live indoors. So
I mean, I would have to go to town with the college girls all night.
I know, really.
Oh,
by the way, hey, speaking of college girls,
I guess now's the time. RPG spreadsheets.
Now's the time that Paul and I pimp out Frank. Frank needs a date, okay? So if you're like in the Harrisburg area of Pennsylvania, like look him up. He's
What's so funny?
Do something with this guy. All right.
And we could talk about